Back here on the Matt Schneidman Show, Friday, October 11th. The radio audience has heard the entire show, but we had a little technical difficulty with the stream. So if you're just joining on the stream, we talked about Romeo Doubs for the first 15 minutes of the show, so I won't be doing that again. So if you're saying, why aren't you talking about Romeo Doubs talking? Just know we played some audio from his meet with reporters today. Already discussed that whole situation.
You can catch it on the podcast later.
Right now, what we want to tell you about is Iron Jock. And I wore my Iron Jock the other day. Let's talk Iron Jock hoodies and their new all-purpose joggers. Now through October 13th, when you purchase men's or women's hoodies and joggers, use promo code FALL30, that's FALL30, to receive 30% off every hoodie and jogger in your cart. And you'll also get a free Iron Jock travel towel. Go to ironjock.com for details. That's ironjoc.com. We also want to tell you about a nice event Packers left tackle Rasheed Walker is putting on for Youth is the Future. It's called Bowling for Their Future is what the event is called. First 63 tickets are $63. After that, regular price tickets are $163 because he's number 63. October 21st, 2024, at Buzz Social in Green Bay, bowling with Rasheed and teammates, food, drinks, bowling, shoes, photo booth, raffle, and more, all for a good cause. That's at Buzz Social in Green Bay. A good event for the youth put on by Packers left tackle Rasheed Walker, who, by the way, is questionable for Sunday's game to lead into the injury report with I don't remember what he's dealing with. Knee injury. He was not listed on the injury report on Wednesday, not listed on Thursday, limited participant on Friday. So added to the injury report today, questionable to play on Sunday against the Cardinals. 4 others are questionable. Jair Alexander, he was a limited participant. We'll get into a little bit of what he said in his session with reporters today. Jordan Morgan, questionable with a shoulder that he's been dealing with. Aaron Mosby, questionable with a shoulder despite participating in full all 3 days this week. And Christian Watson, questionable with the ankle injury. He was limited all 3 days this week after being doubtful last week and not practicing last week. Devontae Wyatt, the only one ruled out. He did not practice this week because of the ankle injury he suffered against the Vikings. Out of his boot, though. And Luke Musgrave officially placed on injured reserve, so he will miss at least the next 4 games. John Fitzpatrick, their new tight end, signed off the Falcons practice squad, was present at practice day. He is a big son of a gun. So the notable ones there are Walker. He's been their left tackle after a penalty-ridden first 3 games. I believe he leads the league in accepted holding penalties with 4. He has not had any penalties the last 2 games. And I asked Adam Stenovich about that yesterday, and he was like, whoa, and then he knocked on the podium in front of him. So he's playing with better technique, playing cleaner, playing more focused. He's been solid for them in that regard the last 2 games. Packers need to have him. And then Jair Alexander, obviously their best corner. He said today there's a good possibility that he plays, although it was a little confusing the way Jair phrased it, because I asked him about his groin, which he's been dealing with. He hasn't played the last 2 games. And I asked him if he's, in good shape to play on Sunday. And he said, potentially. It's a good possibility, just like last week. And I said, oh, so you could have played last week? He goes, oh, no, heck no. If I could have played, I would have played. So he said it's a good possibility that he plays on Sunday, just like last week, but then said last week there was no possibility he could play. So I'm a little confused.
Well, maybe it got worse.
I don't think it did. He said he got some more team reps this week. Last week, he took 0 team reps. Then he said, this week, I had probably 20 or 30 plays. No, maybe like 15. So I'm not really sure what the heck is going on with Jair. I would expect him to play, though. Got through a week of practice, more team reps. Do they hold him another week just to make sure the groin is okay? Maybe.
Got Marvin Harrison Jr., though.
Yeah, I know. Maybe not a fun fact, especially not for Cardinals fans. Marvin Harrison Jr. ranks dead last in the NFL in average separation for receivers. But he has only dropped 1 pass, and he ranks 59th out of 61 qualified receivers. That was before last night's Thursday night game. I'd have to look at the updated stats in reception percentage. So number of targets, number of catches. That either means Kyler Murray can't hit him, guys are breaking up passes, but he only has one drop. He can be a franchise guy for sure. He is capable of taking over a game. So is Kyler Murray. It would help the Packers if they had number 23 back on Sunday at Lambeau.
Without a doubt, no matter who the WR1 on the other side is. But, Marvin Harrison, he's 5 games into his NFL career. I think he's going to be just fine. If you watched him play at Ohio State the last couple of seasons, you just saw someone who was just different. He was just built differently than everyone else. Obviously, he's got the bloodlines. He's got the name. We all know that. And that helps. That's part of it. It's not the only thing that matters, obviously, because how many times have there been family members of one, Hall of Famer that couldn't cut it, at the next level? But Marvin Harrison, leading up to being the number 4 overall pick from the Cardinals, it kind of showed in big time college football that he can be a difference maker. And, everybody matriculates a little bit differently. Everybody matures a little bit differently once they get to the NFL. I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about what the Packers are going to do with their defensive game plan this week is their pass rush. What are they going to do with their pass rush? Is it going to be similar to what we saw in week 1 and 2 with that mush rush we've talked about to keep Kyler Murray in the pocket, just like they did with Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson? Because Kyler's capable of taking over a game on the ground. He ran for a 50-yard touchdown, I believe, against the 49ers last week. So do they do what they did in those 2 games? And they did a pretty good job containing Hurts and Richardson until, later in the game, they got out for a little scoot. But that would require, again, more sacrifice from the pass rushers who are told to just contain. Your lane integrity has to be solid. Your gap integrity has to be solid. Don't do anything crazy to create these holes for these quarterbacks to run around and extend plays and extend drives and get these explosive runs. Just keep them in the pocket. Because like LaFleur told us on Monday on the podcast, he said he knows quarterbacks very well. And something that quarterbacks do not like is when the pocket closes in on them. And that's kind of the design of this pass rush. So I'd imagine they go with a similar strategy to that against Kyler Murray, but he's capable of throwing too. Marvin Harrison Jr. is capable of catching. They have a pretty solid offense. They're 2-3, but they just beat the 49ers in Santa Clara. So this is by no means a rollover game. I wouldn't even call it a trap game because I don't think the Packers are, taking the Cardinals lightly. I think the Packers win, but it might be closer than some people think. I think the spread's 5 or 5.5 right now.
Yeah, about a year ago, there was a big expose about Michael Bidwill, the Cardinals owner, and, how bad of a boss he was. And ever since then, it seems to be, and, I was talking to someone who I'll have on Packers Game Day, Jody Ayler, who is the morning show host at the iHeart station in Phoenix. I was talking to him off the air, just setting up the interview. And I said, what's really the deal? What's going on with Bidwill? Is he that bad of an owner? How have things been since that story came out last November, so almost a year ago, about how he mistreats employees, how their facilities are awful? And he said, sometimes when things come to light, it makes everything better. It can go one of 2 ways. It can either make things exponentially worse or exponentially better. And it seems as though, led by Mossy Ondenford, their general manager, and Jonathan Gannon, their new coach, they're just all business now. They've hired a new, not a president, but somebody who handles the business operations. And they've got this whole new space. They've moved employees out. They've hired a bunch of employees to try to make the game day experience better. So it looks like they've at least taken a holistic approach to the entire franchise, the entire organization. He said Michael Bidwill's a different guy. And you're seeing players start to believe that this can be an organization that isn't embarrassing like it had been for most of the last 100 years, but specifically most of the last 20 years. They've had some great teams. They've had some great players. Larry Fitzgerald's a Hall of Fame player. Kurt Warner is a Hall of Fame player at the tail end of his career, but he got him to a Super Bowl. They've had some good seasons, but mostly they've been a pretty bad franchise, run pretty poorly. And finally, it seems as though they're taking themselves a little bit more seriously like an NFL franchise. I think they're a team that's on the come a little bit. And I don't know that the 49ers took them lightly. I don't know that they should have taken them lightly, but when they were down by double digits in the fourth quarter, I think San Francisco probably felt pretty good. But Arizona, they seem to have a little pep in their step at this point of their existence. I don't think they're there yet. I still think they're a year, maybe 2, maybe 3 years away, but they piled up piled up first round draft picks. They had 12 draft choices this past year. And it seems as though by everyone that I've kind of looked at as far as the draft grades, they drafted pretty well, including Marvin Harrison Jr. And Max Melton, Bo Melton's brother, in the second round as well. It seems as though they're all kind of rowing in the same direction for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Melton, as we talked about earlier this week, the Melton Bowl is going to be an interesting matchup to watch. I'll be interested to see if they actually match up against each other. Regarding the Cardinals defense, the Packers have an opportunity to just run all over them, kind of like they did against the Colts. You guys know I love to cite True Media on here for all my advanced stats, all my nerd stats. The Cardinals rank 24th in rush defense EPA per snap. And if you're new here, that basically means, it stands for expected points added per snap, but it measures the play-by-play effectiveness. So, for example, if someone rushes for 1 yard on 3rd and 1 and you're defending it, that's not an effective play because you gave up a first down. But if you look at yards per carry, that's 1 yard per carry. So I think this is a more accurate representation of the effectiveness of defending the run on a per play basis. So the Cardinals rank 24th in rush defense EPA per snap, 28th in defensive rush success percentage, which is a similar metric. Josh Jacobs has a chance to make this be a Josh Jacobs game. I don't know if it means 32 carries because that was a combination of the Colts having a bad run defense and the Packers not wanting to put too much on Malik Willis's plate in that week 2 game. But I think Josh Jacobs could have a 25 carry game and really control this game on the ground. Why does my freaking camera keep slipping?
We need to get you a better situation for that because it falls all the time. We'll get, we'll explore that.
Maybe my desk is just sweaty, and that's why this thing isn't sticking.
Be.
I have it like attached via magnet to one of those mounts that sticks to the desk, just like some people have in their car. Anyway, people who are not watching the stream have no idea what I'm talking about.
And people who are watching on the stream are amused by it.
They're I don't know if they're amused is the right word.
It's like it just falls over
just falls, and I catch it every single time because I have reflexes like a cat. You know what Josh Jacobs said today that I found a little amusing? Speaking of amusing, he said, and he was talking about Tucker Kraft's trash talk. He said Tucker Kraft is too nice. Tucker Kraft said on AJ Dillon's podcast recently that sometimes he'll tell opponents that he's going to burn their childhood homes down. And Tucker Kraft spoke to us yesterday. Oh, by the way, Tucker Kraft, who was added to the injury report yesterday with a groin injury, was off the injury report today, so he is good to go. He will play on Sunday. Big sigh of relief for the Packer fans and the Packers because Luke Musgrave is on IR, and the new guy, John Fitzpatrick, might not even be active on Sunday. So Josh Jacobs said Tucker Kraft is too nice with his trash talk. And then Josh Jacobs was reminded he said he would burn a house down. And Josh Jacobs said, yeah, that's too nice. So we were like, what? What do you say? And Josh Jacobs said that today in a team meeting, Matt LaFleur wanted to teach his team a lesson. He said, you guys have to watch what you say when you're mic'd up. And he played a clip of Josh Jacobs mic'd up on Sunday against the Rams saying something mid-run to say, don't do that. Josh Jacobs would not tell us what it was that he said. But he did say, mine is bad. Mine I would never repeat.
Well,
it's got to be real bad.
I was going to say, who mic'd? I assume it's NFL Films. So if
yeah, but I'm assuming whatever he said will not be put out publicly if it's that bad.
I guess it depends on what it is.
Maybe just the Packers have access to it. But if it was that bad and that noteworthy, it would have already come across my Twitter feed. Maybe it's something the Packers just have access to. So LaFleur used it in the team meeting.
Because
Jacobs thought it was, funny. He said, I was basically talking trash mid-run during a running play. I say I do a little bit. I don't ever start off trash talking, but once somebody says it to me, it kind of turns me up. And then he was asked about what he said, and he said, mine is bad. Mine I would never repeat, just talking about his trash talk in general. So don't get on Josh Jacobs' bad side because whatever he said, and if it's worse than I'm going to burn your childhood home down. I'm not sure I want to know what Josh
I do
Jacobs
want to
said.
know because listen, trash talk is at the end of the day, trash talk is just fun.
For
Jair,
some people, it doesn't sound like Josh Jacobs has much fun with it. I'm going to kill your family. Well, that's kind of what Tucker Kraft said.
But is Josh Jacobs truly going to kill someone's family?
No, obviously
not. But I think that's what makes it fun because obviously, Tucker Kraft isn't going to burn someone's childhood home down either. He's not going to, go commit arson somewhere just because he tried to, get you on a go route or something. I mean, that's why I think trash talk is fun. I mean, Jair Alexander, he's one of the best at trash talking. Carrington Valentine's pretty good at trash talk. I think it's just a gamesmanship. It's just part of what gives color to sports, not just football, but some guys are legendary in basketball with trash talk as well. Now you can be Jesse Winker on the other hand and say, I will hate Milwaukee forever.
Oh, Milwaukee's such little brother syndrome on that. They're so salty. Who cares what Jesse Winker has to say?
Well, yeah, honestly, it's Jesse Winker. He hit $1.99 when he was here. It's not even little brother syndrome. It's just like, okay, you come after one of us, you come after all of us. But every city's like that. But that's what makes it fun. Really. Oh, and yeah, insult a New Yorker. Yeah, they'll come after you.
Nobody cares because it's like, all right, cool, but it's Milwaukee and everyone rallies around, each other because it's punching down.
Nice.
Which I understand. That's the nice part about Milwaukee. I mean, they have time now to rally around each other on Twitter because they're not watching their baseball team play. It's fine. I have better things to do. Someone wants to trash New York or Connecticut, where I'm from, go ahead and do it. I'm busy watching the Yankees in the ALCS. And thank the good Lord, Brian Anderson is on play-by-play for the ALCS. Brian Anderson has appeared on this station before, correct?
Yeah, he's a Milwaukee guy. He's the
right.
Brewers
I know
officer.
that. Yeah. He's the best. Bob Costas, legend, Bob Costas.
But with all due respect.
With all due respect, I do not want to watch a baseball game with him calling it, especially not my team. My family, and I probably should have done this, they synced up the radio broadcast of John Sterling and Susan Waldman, the longtime Yankees radio team, with the TV and muted the TV, which I know is what some people do for Packers games with Wayne and Larry, and then shut off Tony Romo or Joe Buck or whoever it may be. And there goes my camera falling again. But yeah, I just can't stand Bob Costas. That's fair. I just had to listen to him call an entire series. Luckily, it ended in 4, so I don't have to listen to him again. But that's the ironic thing about, I don't know if ironic's the right word, but game 1 is on Monday night, starts at 6:37. So I'm on green. We'll get to see me watch the first inning of the Yankee game on our show.
Oh, I'm sure that'll be fun for him.
Luckily, we'll be in Potawatomi Sportsbook, so I'll have plenty of
you won't be
easy access to watch the game.
Now, there's what people don't understand is like, okay, you see, because we've all posted the huge wall of TVs behind us through those big plate glass windows. Mm-hmm. What they don't know is that there's 3 massive televisions in front of us as well that we can tune into whatever we want.
Oh yeah. One of those TVs will be set on the Yankees.
Yeah, I'm guessing the Yankees will be on.
I will make that personal request. And then I'm just going to have to stay at Pato in the sports book to watch the Yankee game.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Which I could be doing worse things with my life, I'll be honest.
That's your spot, man. I think you fell in love the moment you walked into the place.
No, that Potawatomi slapped me upside the head that night. I'm never go. I did joke with somebody. What was Jesse Winker's quote?
I'll hate them forever.
I'll hate Milwaukee forever.
Yeah.
That would have been my quote after my first night at the Potawatomi blackjack table. I'll hate Milwaukee forever.
Okay.
So me and Jesse Winker have something like a couple good baseball games coming up the next 2 days. A great college football day tomorrow. And then listen, I love a good Lambeau Field noon game. Sure, I enjoy covering primetime games and big games and those late afternoon Fox games. And I'm sure the Packers will have one later this year against, for example, the 49ers, if both teams continue on this upward trajectory. 49ers got back to 3-3 last night with a convincing win over the Seahawks. But the noon games, not only is it, okay, you wake up, go about your morning a little bit, drive into Lambeau. But it's also, you get done with work and you still have the entire Sunday night game. You get a full night's sleep as opposed to, a Sunday night game where you don't go to bed until 4 a.m. And also the omelet bar in the Lambeau Field press box is just a better experience for a noon game. And the Packers have a bunch of those this year.
Oh, yes, because you and I have very different experiences when it comes to noon games.
Right, because you have to I live 12 minutes from the stadium. You live in Milwaukee.
I live 2 hours and 12 minutes from the stadium.
Right, exactly.
And I also have to be on the air at 8 a.m. from Lambeau Field.
Correct.
So I'm getting up at
And you
4.
have to get there and set up. I just have to walk into a press box by the time the game starts.
Yeah. So we have very different experiences when it comes to noon kickoffs at Lambeau Field. Although the omelet bar, I would say, almost makes up. The omelet bar is so good in the press box at Lambeau that I would say that it does make up for the 4 a.m. wake up and the getting home at around 9:30. So you get the rest of your day. I don't. FYI.
Well, that's why they pay you the big bucks, Doug Russell. And the omelet bar is very dependent on the size of the omelet. Sometimes the very kind chefs there give you a little itty bitty omelet. Other times it's huge. My omelet before the Vikings game was massive.
Yeah, I had a good one too. I think I got the last omelet because I don't get to get inside the press box until about 20 minutes to kick on a good day, maybe 15 minutes to kick. That's about the time they're shutting that thing down. But I got the last one. It was glorious.
Got to. We got to get to one more break. On the other side, I will explain my prediction if you've missed it. If you haven't, go do something else with your time, respectfully. Wrapping up the week here on the Matt Schneidman Show. Packers Cardinals this Sunday. Stick with us right here on the game.
Check, yes, Juliet, are you with me? Rain is falling down on the sidewalk. I won't go until you come outside.
Back here on the Matt Schneidman Show, Friday, October 11th. I just told one of my friends that I am actually a very good singer. It's probably my hidden talent.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and said, well, you wouldn't be able to tell by that little riff I did on American Idiot, but said friend then responded, so why did you play the trombone in high school?
I played the trombone in 4th grade.
I played the trombone in my high school marching and jazz band.
Okay.
Yeah, people don't know that about me, but
now they do.
I then responded because I was too scared to sing.
Have you ever sung in public? More than just karaoke?
No.
Okay. And how do you know that you're a good singer?
Well, good is a relative term.
Like, if Billy Joe Armstrong were in here right now, you wouldn't want to duet with him on American Idiot?
I don't know who that is.
Green Day, lead singer.
Billy Joe
Armstrong?
I didn't know Billy Joe Armstrong was his name.
Yeah. American Idiot.
Billy Joe Armstrong. Yeah, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
I know who he is. I just didn't know that was his name.
Yeah. The Green Day.
No, I'm probably a better singer than him, to be honest.
Okay. Okay.
But I did, fun fact, I was a jazz band soloist in high school on the trombone. And I played the baritone horn and the trombone in the Wilton High School marching band. So we would perform choreographed routines at halftime of the football games. And don't worry, for those saying, oh, you're just a nerd, I also started on the soccer team. I'm a dual threat Matt Schneidman.
Okay. Is there a YouTube video of this anywhere? Oh, I think we're all going to
Don't get greedy. Now you're just getting greedy.
Of course. Well, ask for an inch, try to take a mile.
I respect it. There's a fly in my house. These are just homeowner problems. I've been trying to kill it. It's been in here for like 3 days. Other than that, the house is going good.
All right. Good.
All right. Packers Cardinals on Sunday. I am taking Packers 27, Cardinals 21. I don't think the Packers run the ball as many times as they did against the Colts, but I think this is a game where we come out and say, that's why the Packers signed Josh Jacobs this offseason. I'm going to go 24 carries, 126 yards, and a touchdown. He's a workhorse back. He's built for it. We saw it against the Colts. But I do respect Josh Jacobs. I wouldn't say it's bait, but he was asked about the Cardinals' shoddy run defense today, and he didn't even talk about the run defense. He said, obviously, when you talk about their defense, you start with Budda Baker. He's all around the ball on every clip. He negates a lot of big plays for other offenses. I think that locating him and knowing where he is at all times is the biggest thing. Granted, Budda Baker can step down in the box. He can be a linebacker. Jacobs acknowledged that. You know, he might be 15 yards downfield, Jacob said, but he's meeting the ball to limit the running back to a 2-yard gain. So sure, that is part of the Cardinals' run defense, but I bet Josh Jacobs is licking his chops. And as I mentioned, it was either on the football, I think it was on the Football Feast last night. I got asked a question in my mailbag, which is up on The Athletic now, has been since this morning. Basically, are the Packers going to take the ball out of Jordan Love's hands because he's turned the ball over so much? No, they're not going to put the reins on Jordan Love because he's gotten a little reckless. They don't want to take away that aggressiveness. Sooner or later, those aggressive styles that he has displayed this year are going to translate into explosive plays. For example, look at the Jaden Reed one. That could have easily been an interception, but sometimes the coin just bounces your way.
That was described as a no, yes on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
By Matt LaFleur.
Oh, yeah.
We heard a lot of that from Holmgren back in the day.
And Jordan was graded with a 0 on that play by his coaches.
Yeah, I mean, he threw it into double coverage with the safety coming over the top, so he threw it into 3 defenders, and Jaden Reed still came down with it. God bless him.
It was funny. Dominique Yates, who's the new multimedia reporter for the Journal Sentinel and Green Bay Press Gazette, was sitting next to me in the press box and in Inglewood. And right when Jordan Love released that ball, he goes, "Oh, he's got him." And I go, "No, he doesn't. There are 3 guys there." And then Jaden Reed caught it.
Yep.
So that dialogue between us happened mid-play. Still, that was more of a good fortune, great hands by Jaden Reed play than it was a good decision by Jordan Love. And that's not just me saying it. Jordan Love would say that too.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that I'm just, trying to make the point of they're not going to take away his aggressiveness because it can just as easily result in good plays And not only good plays with good fortune, just good plays all around. We've seen plenty of them from Love in the past. And those bad plays that we've seen, those they hope will start to kind of wane off.
Yeah, the one that you can put, and the coaches and Jordan himself has put 100% on him, was that ill-fated throw in the end zone that turned into a quick pick six. I mean, that was just a terrible decision. And you would like to think that those things would clean themselves up in time. But where Packers fans are, I believe, with their quarterback play is there's been, okay, as we all know, Hall of Fame quarterback play for, 30-ish straight years up until Aaron was traded. Aaron took better care of the football than any quarterback in the history of the game up until that point. Brett didn't. But Brett was still, I mean, he was a roller coaster ride. He was exciting. He put everybody on his back and willed that team to becoming one of the, bellwethers of the NFL for so many years, 16 years that he was here. But most Packers fans remember, he threw a lot of interceptions, but Aaron took care of the football so well. And then in the second half of last year, when Jordan Love went on this amazing run that was as good as anybody in the NFL's a year ago, this is just what we're going to get. Just roll out the footballs, roll out the helmets. Here we go again. And that's not the way that the NFL works.
It was a bad decision from Jordan Love on the pick six. I would say it was bad execution.
It was a bad decision.
Because I wouldn't say that.
I disagree.
I
disagree. I think it was a bad decision.
So the reason I say it was more so bad execution over a bad decision is because if it's in the field of play and you do that, that's a bad decision. But the process of trying to avoid giving the other team a free 2 points was correct. It was just, as Jordan Love said after the game, he put too much air on the ball. Now, you got to be careful because if you just spike it or just throw it into the ground, that could be,
got to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Right. You got to get it back to the line of scrimmage, and it could be intentional grounding, which would be a safety anyway. So the thought process of I don't want to give the other team 2 points right now is a good one. Now, like I said, if he's in the field of play, you just go down because it wouldn't give the other team any other points. Also, as Matt LaFleur told us on Monday in the podcast, number 0 isn't supposed to be rushing free off the edge.
Sure.
That was a malfunction in the protection. So that's why I say that whole play was more so a lack of execution than it was a bad decision, I think. You could argue that it was still a bad decision, but then you would have to argue, well, just give the other team 2 points instead of 6. But you don't know if the other team's going to intercept it. You don't know if they're going to return it for a touchdown. The desire to not give the other team a free 2 points, I think, is a good decision.
I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing that you have to have game awareness. You have to, know that if you can't, and these are split second decisions. I mean, I'm not coming down on Jordan Love. I say that was a bad decision.
Right. We're pulling hairs here.
Right. What I'm saying is every player has to have game awareness. And in that instance, when Jordan is literally being tackled and he just flings the ball, you can't do that. That's a recipe for disaster. And an NFL quarterback has to know that. I think it was a bad decision. It was poor execution. I'm not blaming Jordan. Everybody makes boneheaded plays. I make boneheaded moves on the radio all the time. I've made a career out of it. So I'm not torching him for it, but I do think that it was a poor decision.
Yeah, my thing is just in the moment, Jordan Love is saying, should I give up 2 points or 0 points?
Right.
He's not thinking, should I give up 2 points or 6 points?
No, I know what he's thinking. I absolutely know what he was thinking. The thought process, when you put it in those terms, it's like, yeah, of course you don't want to give up any points and you don't want to give up 2 points, but you have to understand that if you fling the ball and you don't have any power behind it because you're going down, you might just give up 6 in that instance. And that's what happened.
That's fair. All right. Sunday morning, wake up bright and early. Packers game day live on the air when, Doug?
8 a.m. live from the Miller Lite end zone.
And you set your alarm for when?
4 a.m.
4:30?
4 a.m. Well, about 4:15. I got to pick up Luddy at the park and ride in New Brown Deer. Then I got to go pick up Spencer in the park and ride in Sheboygan, and then we make our way up.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'll probably wake up at 9. And that's really early because that would get me to the press box probably about 2.5 hours before kickoff. But we can't all be as spoiled as Matt Schneidman.
It's true. Most
who
of us
does, in
aren't.
fact, have his own radio show. So he is quite fortunate with how his life has transpired since being that nerdy trombone jazz soloist in the high school jazz band.
Do you still have the ability to play the trombone?
I'm sure I
trombone?
do. And I think my trombone is actually still in my childhood bedroom, and it's probably rusty as hell. Am I allowed to say that word on air?
Yeah, you're good.
HE double hockey sticks?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'd let you know if you couldn't.
Fair enough. All right. We'll catch you on Monday. Again, I'm on Green on the show. Green and Gold Legend Series live from Potawatomi Sportsbook. Great sponsor of the show. Looking forward to getting back down there. Until then, he's Doug. I'm Matt. Enjoy the game on Sunday. Be safe. Drink safely. We'll catch you Monday.
See you all over me.